Not having it all. Talking films and docs and TV too. Not having it all. Bringing you the latest reviews. Not having it all. But we're doing the best we can. It's Not Having It All with Neha Beas and Karis Rian. And other people sometimes.
Hi guys. So Ashton's here, Laverne's here, Neha's here, Lauren's here, and Karis is here. And this week we're going to be talking about a little documentary that, flooded the online atmosphere, Framing Britney Spears. But before we dive into that and Justin Timberlake, let's hear what you guys have been watching. I am going to start, and it's just because last night I watched Emma, and like we were talking about Bridgerton recently, maybe I'm getting to a little bit of a period drama moment. The costume design in this film is unreal. When did we stop dressing like that? Like, who just decided we were going to stop wearing long gowns and fancy hats? Like, what's the deal? I could give up the leggings for that, Like,
would you?
I would, I think, because it just
feels it feels like so much effort. Like all of those layers and corsets and
not when you've got three people helping you.
I really like my liver being where my liver's supposed to be, and like my stomach being where my stomach's supposed to be. Although the tits look great, though. That would be like. They're really
Emma confused with Bridgerton.
Oh, maybe I've not seen any other
vibe.
It was funny though, because I've not read Emma and I've not seen the Gwyneth Paltrow version either. But it is literally clueless. Like throughout the whole film, it's just a clueless storyline. So it's quite lovely seeing it like in reverse, like the Shakespearean version, not the Shakespearean version, like that kind of version of Clueless, which I thought was quite lovely. But yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy. I've also been watching The Queen's Gambit, so I'm just in a little bit of a obsession mode with her at the moment. Not finished, I've got one episode left, but I didn't watch it because I didn't like the hype, and now I'm like, I quite enjoy that I'm watching it afterwards because it's less pressure.
Is this The Queen's Gambit?
The Queen's Gambit, yes.
I still haven't watched it either.
Well, I have a couple of issues, and one of them is there's a scene in this TV show, and now I will say it's written by a man, it's directed by a man, and there's this scene where she is playing a game of chess and she's playing against someone who she's quite attracted to, and they're sharing eye gazes and it's getting very flirtatious, and then she's struck down by menstruation and she runs to the bathroom and holds her stomach in agony, and I just thought, really, have you never ever spoke to a woman before about menstruation?
Really not.
It'd be more realistic if she stormed off, went on the sofa with a hot water bottle and cried at an advertisement for hand cream.
So that was a big gripe with it. And then there's just other parts to it too, like when they talk about sexuality. And I just think that like The Queen's Gambit, I get that it's really about her becoming like a grandmaster, whatever you want to call it, but get a woman in the room. Just ask a woman, like, okay, this we're going to do this scene where she gets her period for the first time, what's that like? Just ask someone for their opinion. It's just ridiculous. Like, you could have easily had a co-writer that would have told you, yeah, that's not how that works, kind of thing.
Just ask the women in your life. Like, ask your mum or your wife or your sister, because honestly they'll give you the most honest answer. Like, go ask your sibling about their first period. They're gonna go, like, I can only hope and imagine that his family gave him so much grief.
I hope so. Like, I'm not saying that, men should write female characters, but do it with some research. Like, Jesus Christ. Honestly, I watched it and I could not stop moaning. I was just like, really? Really? Because it's ridiculous. Lauren, when you get around to watching it, it is just a ridiculous scene. And afterwards, I looked up online, a lot of people agreed with it too, because it was just bonkers. Because I just thought men are going to be watching that and think that's what happens. And we get struck down by God, literally smited with agony and pain. And the thing that got me was it happened while she was flirting. So it come across as some kind of...
They sort of linked it.
Adam and Eve, temptation, punishment.
I mean, I personally feel almost embarrassed at how cliche my experience with periods are every month, because I'm struck down and I can't do anything, and I want to cry and it's awful, and I do want to eat loads of stuff and I do want to consume every piece of bread that I can get my hands on. But I hate that is how it is, because like I want to be like, no, it's grand. I don't even think about it. It just happens and then it's grand, you know, but it's no, I like to wallow in my suffering.
Everyone's different though, and that's the thing. And I think that, I mean, just thinking right now, you guys, when you've seen like a woman get their period in film and TV, what is that realistic to you? Have you ever seen something that's like, oh yeah, that actually is quite, you know, relevant or realistic? Because I don't think I ever have. It's always way over dramatic, very melodramatic, and is very kind of like punishment focused. It's just bonkers. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Queen's Gambit anyway. What have you guys been watching? Ashton, share with us.
The Masked Singer, literally nothing but yes. Basically, like the UK one had its finale recently, which was awesome.
And it wasn't Stacey Solomon.
There was a guy on TikTok, right, whose entire account was purely just Joss Stone is sausage. Like, and that was his entire account. It was fantastic. Like, he completely convinced me. But they've also put the US one on TV now.
Oh,
which
is it on my...
Yeah, it started this week, so you can catch up, don't worry.
Yes.
I like the US one. I don't know any of the clues because like US pop culture is different.
Is it very US people based? Because I was quite shocked by the stars they got in the Masked Singer, because wasn't Neo in this season?
Yes, the level of celebrity is amazing.
And like I don't think I've never been more shocked watching anything than when the dragon was Sue Perkins. I was like
Holland.
Like
we took the roof off. Like we all really love Sue Perkins anyway, and I had no idea she could sing. Like it's just like we watch it as a family. It's a weird like family show, but it's not
weird.
It is like I messaged my friend who lives up north in real time, so I literally had to be on the sofa at 7 p.m. to message her during the breaks, being like, "Who do you think this is? Who do you think this is?"
I love that.
It was proper, like, just so good. So like I was watching it for that as well. And the US one, again, we now watch as a family. And like the US ones, yeah, like I say, the clues are harder because I don't really know like the personal stories in the same way. And I can't Google it because it aired like 6 months ago. So the minute I Google it, I'm right or wrong and I already know who wins the season. But you know, that aside, it's just like the level of celeb is like really high. Like it's really great. They do this thing with the host. He literally goes, we've got like 37 Grammy nominations, we've got an Oscar nomination, we've got an Olympic gold medalist.
Oh wow.
The collective like net worth for these guys is like several millions, and it's mad.
It sounds mad. It sounds mad. Good. Neha, what have you been watching?
Very little. Like the rest of you, I've been watching One Division, but we've got an episode on that coming up.
Yeah, I was going to say, guys,
but
I know how excited we are, but we can't talk about it this week. It's awful.
We can't talk about it today. I've also been watching Drag Race.
Yes.
And by that, I mean, Drag Race was that show that I started when I was a teen, but then fell off the bandwagon. And when I started wanting to watch it again, there were like 20 seasons and I didn't know where to pick it up from. So one of my friends has like picked specific seasons for me to watch. So I'm still only on All Stars, which is on
lovely.
Netflix. So I've been enjoying Drag Race. I also watched St. Francis last weekend on Netflix. Well, so it's written by Kelly O'Sullivan, who also plays Bridget in St. Francis. And she's 34 years old. She's just gone through like an unwanted pregnancy and an abortion that brought around a whole bunch of different complications. But then she ends up being a nanny to this really like spirited little girl, and it was just really good and really fun. So if anyone's looking for a fun little movie, St. Francis on Netflix.
I like
that would be my Sunday movie choice this week.
Yeah, and it's interesting what we were talking about kind of like periods earlier, because some of the complications that come out of her abortion is like her menstrual cycle's just all over the place, and when she's hooking up with guys, they'll just be like, "Oh, you've started your period," I think. Yeah, it's really interesting. I recommend it.
Okay, it's going on the list. Laverne, what have you been watching?
So I binged in like a day Soulmates on Amazon Prime. Has anyone heard of that?
No, tell us more.
It's basically like a concept from Black Mirror. It's by the same producers of Black Mirror. So if you like Black Mirror, it's for you. And essentially a piece of technology has been made in 15 years from now, and you take a test and they find your soulmate.
I love the episode of Black Mirror because I just thought that's what everyone wants.
Well, so that's what it is. So, but it's like a spin on it. So it's not just people finding their soulmates. It's about the repercussions. People are married. People have kids. And then you find your soulmate and you can't stop thinking about it.
I'm so excited.
Imagine I'm watching it and then the woman from Hang the DJ was in it.
No!
And I was but it's like not connected. I can't believe he accepted that. I feel like I'd be so scared to be typecasted to like take on a role that is so similar to a role, one of my most famous roles.
Yeah.
Like it's not connected in any way. I mean, you could probably make a think piece to try and connect it, but it's not. She's playing a completely different character. But it's just weird that I thought it was quite weird that she took on a piece of media that is the same as kind of as her Black Mirror episode. But I guess she just likes that futuristic sci-fi stuff.
I'm so happy because that was one of my favorite episodes of all time because it really made me think, like, if someone gave you the option to see how long your relationship lasts, would you do things differently? Like, if say, like, I just wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if I wanted to look. I wouldn't know if I wanted to, like, you know, if it said that, all right, you're together for 2 years, like, I think, oh, there's no point, or should I do it because it's fun? Like, it's just such an amazing concept. And it's one of the few Black Mirror episodes that I'm like, yeah, this could be a film or a series. So I'm so excited. I'm going to watch that.
I completely recommend. And I just love
same.
It wasn't just about, you know, man and woman, let's take the test. It was about the people that have to deal with that. The people that have to deal with, you know, I don't like my soulmate, or how are they my soulmate? And it was fantastic.
It does make you question it because you think if you meet the love of your life when you're like 12, you probably think, ugh, but then you might meet them again when you're 32 and it's so different. Yeah. Now I just look at it the opposite. Like, I look at my soulmate when I was 15 and I think, ugh. Why did I ever think? Yeah. Oh my God, Laverne, great shout. I can't wait to watch that.
Tell me what you think when you watch it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a
I want to talk to
episode.
people about it, and I don't know anyone that's really watched it.
Yeah, well, because like I said, like spoilers for the Hello March, but there's a Netflix one that's coming out based on a book called The One. And it's a really similar concept. It's a DNA test. And again, it looks at the fallout. So like Amazon have already beat Netflix to the punch. And they didn't say anything. I can't believe
their
it.
marketing. Their marketing is
Amazon Prime marketing's awful. Like, hire me, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because I watched a film recently called The Broken Hearts Gallery, which I love. And I think we're going to do a whole other episode on like modern day rom-coms that I know Neha's just like smiling and beaming at right now. But that was on Amazon Prime and like, again, had no idea because the marketing's dreadful. Lauren, tell us what you've been watching.
In a slightly similar vein, I've been watching Married at First Sight Australia.
I'm obsessed with this right now. Where does this obsession come from?
It's like
it is wild.
Yeah.
Is it
truly
like
wild.
Love is Blind? Because that's the kind of vibe I got.
It's kind of, but it's there's no choice in the matter. The experts pick you your soulmate, and then you just marry them. What I'm finding frustrating about it is it's just like Married at First Sight Australia 2019. So you really can't Google anything, and I can't look at their Instagrams. Now, I think there's like a week left, but it has been truly one of the best pieces of reality TV I've watched in a long time. I mean, like, they are swapping husbands. They are screaming at each other. Somebody literally reached for one of them, smashed a plate in someone's flat, and then was just like, bye. Like, I mean, it's excellent. I've never really enjoyed the Married at First Sight like UK ones. This is definitely worth watching. If it finishes and you can just binge it, there's like 40 something episodes. Like,
well, I was on Sky and it said like there was like 90 episodes. I'm sure it was 90 episodes. Because is it on every night?
So no, I think there is only 41 or something, because we're on episode like 30 something now, and it's like winding down to the end. So it's on Monday to Friday.
That's a commitment.
Yeah, it is a commitment, but there's not much else to be at. Like, so we just watch it Monday to Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday just be like, and then it comes back on Monday, and then we're like, yeah, like, I don't know what's going to happen when it's over. I don't know what I'm going to watch.
There'll be another season. Australia just do 50 episode seasons. They do some with MasterChef. Like, their MasterChef is 50 plus episodes.
I just love it. So Framing Britney Spears came out last week. Is that right? Something like that. One thing I will say, I actually loved how, being in the UK, we've always been used to things being released in America first. And I just love the unity of the British public coming together to find links for this documentary.
Yeah.
And then Sky a week later was like, hey guys, we have it. We've seen it, Sky. We don't need you.
Late.
Sky documentaries, we don't need you. This documentary came out. I didn't know it was coming out. I had heard nothing prior to it at all.
I was counting down the days.
No, you weren't.
I was.
How did you know about it? I had never heard anything about it happening.
Because there are two celebrities that are very important in my household. One is Roy Keane, and the other is Britney Spears. Me and my brother adore Britney Spears. I've seen her in concert she like was the first single I ever bought. I was waiting for this documentary. Like I've read up about Free Britney. I've been like following the whole thing for ages. I knew it was. I knew
Amazing.
it was happening.
Okay. I mean, I didn't. And when it comes to Britney Spears, I think if you are a fan or just kind of just pay attention, you've probably known about the Free Britney movement for a few years and like how it's really kind of gained a lot of support. There's podcasts out there about it. There's people that, sit there and decipher her Instagram post, which has turned into us in the past couple of weeks. So when it came out, I think that it started a conversation that many of us had already previously been a part of, but this gained traction because, people need to watch a documentary to make them realize that people need help. But it's a strange one. So it's a documentary television film. So it's not per se like a big film. It is from the New York Times because they make films now. And it's mainly about her publicized breakdown, her treatment with the paparazzi, her rise from being a teenager to a woman, and her court-mandated conservatorship. Is that right? I keep wanting to say conservative. Both bad things, just saying.
Same.
Overseen by her father. And obviously since the documentary came out, there's been a lot of fallout from it. Actions have been taken, conversations being made, which I'm grateful for. But let's dig into the actual documentary itself. Then we want to talk about some other people that we think, because it's funny that we've seen a trend happen after this documentary where people are revisiting interviews, revisiting articles and thinking, oh, do you know what? Actually, we were pretty shit to that person too. But yeah, so the documentary itself, it kind of starts with her rise to fame. And I will say, like Lauren, I've been a massive fan of Britney Spears. I remember when I saw Hit Me Baby One More Time on MTV and I was sitting so close to the television, it was burning my eyes. And I just wanted to be this all-American popular high school girl who plays basketball and wears scrunchies and has no stomach. I just wanted to be her. And
It
then
came out when we were 7.
literally. And I had the Britney Spears doll and she was just wearing a little black bra. It was very troubling. During that kind of beginning stage when they're talking about her up and comingness, I just couldn't believe how humble she was and like the actions she did, like driving back and just handing out $100 bills to people.
Oh, that was so
Merry
lovely.
Christmas. I just remembered that really lovely all-American pop star that we once had, that we all adored. And then it started talking about the kind of overlap into the troubled times and things like the troubled times and things like that. What were your thoughts on the kind of shift from all-American pop princess to troublesome young woman? Because it seemed to kind of factor with 3 key moments, one being the questions on her virginity, one being her relationship with Justin Timberlake, and one being her marriage to Kevin Federline. So what were your guys' thoughts on that kind of initial transition?
I think when you think about the time in which it came out, all people got their information from, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have Twitter, it was just paparazzi and it was just tabloids and Perez Hilton and people like that. And so it was it was hard. You'd have to go out of your way to consume a lot of that sort of content. And so people, I think, latched on. I think now because we have Instagram, you can follow 50 influencers, 50 celebrities. And so it's kind of hard to like latch on unless you make an individual Stan account. Like there's just so many headlines a day. If you look at the headlines today, like Kylie Jenner did this, so-and-so did that, so-and-so did that. Like it's just so much, but people would latch on to Britney. And because they'd seen her from, was it Disney? Her Disney
Mickey Mouse Club.
Mickey Mouse,
yeah, to now people felt ownership over her. I think they felt, I saw her from when she was young. I saw her when she first did her thing, and now she's all sexy. Who does she think she is? Despite, an average person probably make decisions and get into their first relationships. Like people just felt like she had to answer them all the time, and I just think it's horrible to watch.
And I think like watching the narrative of the documentary too, like I think like obviously as a fan, I wasn't someone who really read a lot of tabloids up until I suppose I was probably about 2008, 2009 when I got on like Tumblr and stuff, because before that I didn't have my own computer or anything. So like I wasn't really following her like personal life. I was just really into her music. And then I think when watching that back, because I remember, I think there was like a 2008 or 2009 documentary came out about her. After, I think they used a lot of clips from that because it was on Sky One years ago and I remember watching it. You can kind of see from the way that they've done it in the documentary that she was almost forced to be like more sexual and become sexualized, because when she wasn't, they were just constantly asking her why she wasn't, or making it like she was, even though she wasn't. And then she just didn't seem like she had a lot of options. Unfortunately, that's what really broke my heart. It was sort of like she was damned if she did, she was damned if she didn't kind of thing.
I feel like some of it is also like her response, like, because you're saying like she was being forced to be more adult, more sexualized. And I feel like, especially in those interviews that they use, you can tell she's becoming more done with it and more cynical. Like, there's a lot of things where she goes, well, that's the media, that's America. And you can really tell she's really resigned herself. And she started to like fight back a bit more. And I feel like that's when they really started to turn on her, because they're like, oh, you're not being sweet and innocent and chatting to us anymore. Like, you're actually starting to resist us. Like, you used to let us manipulate you and now you won't. How dare you? And I feel like, yeah, the more cynical and the more resistant she got to it, the more they started to resent that, which is ridiculous, because she was just standing up for herself. And they were like, no, we don't like that. Mm-mm.
Poor girl.
Yeah, and she was like, she was at that age where like you're beginning to form your sense of self. And the sense of self she was forming for herself, or on the road to forming, just did not follow the grain of what the media, of what her family, of what her fans, and just everyone, they just didn't want her to be that way.
I think too, like, as a
and you can see
teenager, I
that
didn't
tension, like Ashton
realize.
said, like you can see.
Yeah, like I just didn't realize how young she was at that time. Like, as a teenager watching it, I just assumed she was way older for some reason. Like, as you say there, like she really was actually at a very pivotal moment in her life. And when I looked at it, I just assumed she was like late 20s, but she wasn't. Like, she was barely 20.
No, I think a lot of the changes, like the changes I noted, they came around 2001 to 2002, where she was only 21 years old. And obviously she did the Super Bowl show with Aerosmith. She did, her performances, they started to think, oh, this is actually quite provocative. She's wearing less clothing. The lyrics she was speaking. I mean, I remember when her song Overprotected come out, and it was basically telling everyone to leave her alone. Like, this is her life. She's going to do what she's going to do. And then
obviously to Chris Crocker.
And then obviously she does things like she went on tour with Cher. She did I'm a Slave for You with the snake, like that iconic performance, like that obviously pissed Peter off big time. And then her relationship with Justin Timberlake ended. And that's when people started to think, oh, she's being sexy. She's pissing people off. She's horrendously dumped this poor little boy his heart's broken. And a lot of people after the documentary, obviously Justin Timberlake, people have wanted him to be accountable for the actions he took. And there's snippets in the documentary where, he brags about taking her virginity. He makes out that he was, cheated on her and things like that. And we've seen through time that there's two sides to every story, but everyone sided with him because his solo career is very much because of Britney Spears. The first album he made, Unjustified, which I loved, just by the way, it was a lot about Britney Spears. And you had that kind of battle of Cry Me a River featuring the Britney lookalike and Every Time, which was kind of like her response. But then Every Time, the video got banned because it featured, this kind of self-harm. And then at the same time, because of Justin and the Super Bowl with Janet Jackson, MTV then banned provocative videos. So they banned Toxic on MTV. So it just seemed to be this battle between them. And I feel like as Justin's star rised, Britney's star was silenced quite a lot of the time. And then shortly after that, you had the Like a Virgin. Now, I was not allowed to watch that MTV award show that year. My mum told me no. And I remember the advert. The advert was that Madonna went in to kiss Britney and it cut to Justin Timberlake, and then Madonna went to kiss Christina and it cut to watch MTV Video Music Awards this Monday kind of thing. And it was massive. It was huge. And that's when, people were like, oh, but Britney's a lesbian and she's in this video, Me Against the Music came out where her and Madonna are dancing provocatively. And you're like, are they going to kiss in the video? And it kind of started shifting in my memory that she wasn't Britney anymore. She was this lesbian, provocative heartbreaker who's now married some random dancer called Kevin. But that's because that was the press telling me that. It was telling us all that.
Yeah, because they said that in the documentary, didn't they? That we don't know who Britney is, and we might not ever know who Britney is because everything about her we've learned, apart from, her getting Instagram now and we're getting that insight into her life that she's letting us have. Everything that we know about her is through literally the lens of other people.
But then there's that theory that she's not really in control of her Instagram at all.
Yeah, what do you guys think about this?
Bits of this I find interesting because I saw Britney in concert on the Circus tour. And she was like, that album was incredible. Me and my brother listened to it all the time. It was great. But at the same time, as someone who attends a lot of concerts, you could tell that her heart wasn't in it. And I remember just being like, oh, it was great. We had great seats and all. Obviously she mimed the whole thing. But at the same time, it was sort of, you could just tell that you almost felt like she was just being like rolled on stage and being like, do your thing and then leave, kind of like it didn't feel right.
Because I know that some people have said that like when she doesn't use emojis, that's when it doesn't look like she's posted. Whereas when she does, that's Britney posting.
So like she then does this like a series called Like a Rose on her Instagram, right? Or Just a Rose or Like a Rose or something. It's the same thing. Like I remember when I seen her in concert, like you could just tell that she was like dead behind the eyes. Like there was no spark there anymore. And it's the same in these pictures I find. And she's always, if you go back through her Instagram now and you look, she always posts like this photo series from this thing called Like a Rose, which she calls a photo shoot, but it's just like her taking these selfies out in her garden with the same outfit. And it's posted like from the same shoot constantly. There's very few times where she's like wearing different clothes or, you know, like whenever like controversial things happen in the media or when they bring it up her conservatorship and stuff, then she'll be like, guys, I know you've been asking loads of questions. And then she'll like answer all these random questions like what's your favorite Disney movie and stuff. I don't know. It just sort of feels like she's not even free to post on there, but maybe that's just me reading too much into it. But like people are always like, Britney, go on live. And she's never done that. So
what do you guys think about her Instagram after the documentaries came out? Because it's been quite strange, hasn't it? Let's be real. I mean, she did that video and she's like, last week, it was what we were all worrying about. The Super Bowl. And you think, right, you're playing us here. Like, I think it's her way of acknowledging that she's happy people are realizing what's happening. But at the same time, she can't say too much, which is really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah. Always in her house or maybe at the beach. And when I look at her boyfriend's Instagram, when he's out and about, and I'm like, this is so odd. And like, I know he spoke out, you know, and he made his post and he was just like, you know, I don't want to talk on behalf of my partner, but her dad's a dick. And you've got, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, her son got an Instagram account.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember this.
Yeah. So Kevin Federline got a restraining order from Jamie Spears for the kids. So he doesn't even see his grandchildren on that side that much anymore.
Which speaks volumes, right? That Kevin and Britney hate each other.
That's an issue in itself. Yeah. And then the son got an Instagram and he went on live because he was like 15 and that's what you do. And he called his granddad a dick as well or something like that. And
because
then,
haven't they been in a physical fight? Isn't that what caused the restraining order?
Yeah.
He like the kid had gone at Jamie and because of the argument. And then I think he went on live as a response to that, didn't he?
Yeah.
But apparently Jamie punched him or something in the face.
Something
and that's
like
why
that.
It was a physical fight. Yeah.
And that's why then I think Britney ended up losing more of her visitation because of that. And it's like,
because he represents her.
Yeah.
So, you know, in the eyes of the law, that's her that's done it.
Yeah. It's so sad.
It is so sad. And I think that kind of, as much as the documentary shocked a lot of people, a lot of it was kind of rehashing what a lot of us already knew. But I think, and some people have been very against it. Like I've seen some people on Twitter like, oh, well, you know, it's just like a basic walkthrough. But the thing is, sometimes you need something like this that has such a big impact to educate more people in order to gain that momentum. I mean, we've been waiting for an apology from Justin Timberlake for years. We've been waiting for Perez Hilton for years. Like, this is the thing that sometimes you need something like this to really, it's like what's happened recently with Rihanna and the farmers in India. Like, people are like, oh, but she doesn't know anything about it. But she's given it that platform that more people are talking about it. And, you know, it shouldn't have to be that way. You know, people have been talking about this for a long, long time. It shouldn't have to be that one celebrity or one documentary is made and suddenly we all care. But unfortunately, that's the world we live in. Like, the amount of media we all consume each day, it's impossible. It'd be exhausting to care about every single piece of information that gets thrown our way. So I think this really kind of just struck a chord with a lot of people, and it's opened up the conversation to other women, which I think is fantastic because it just really shows a unity that we're not like, right, we have to care about Britney Spears now. It's right, we have to care about Britney Spears, but let's also think about the other women that's affected. I mean, let's talk about Lindsay Lohan. So Lindsay Lohan, the documentary has kind of opened up the conversation on Lindsay Lohan again. Very similar terms. Lindsay Lohan was, a Disney darling, all these amazing films. And then the public were turned by the media. She's a lesbian, she's dating a woman, she's a drug addict, she's fallen out of clubs, she smokes, she drinks, she's dreadful, she's in rehab. And that was just their telling of the story, because like Laverne said, we didn't have Instagram or Twitter. Like we didn't have any celebrities telling us how they live their lives.